Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Dawnbringers, Season 4, Episode 16, an episode that I'm titling Whispers and Fragments. Right, Jeremy? A little nod and maybe a little inside joke, but also be sure to tune in next Wednesday to Erasmas Expeditions for another episode of Whispers and Fragments, our momentum campaign. But it seemed appropriate for this title, and I couldn't resist it. So it was worth it just for the look of surprise on Jeremy's face. But we're here. We are down one Scotty. So Ironically, the Knight of Smite with his ever glowing Dawnbringer sword has the black box where he would normally be. I need a glowing sword animation for that. But we have everybody else with us tonight. Zach is joining us once again with his character Gerithan, while Fig M is out for a while. And we're very glad to have Jeremy with us. And I do just want to, I want to take a moment just to say that our hearts go out to you if you happen to be somebody that is affected by Hurricane Laura. I know Cajun Kevin in the chat is dealing with a bit of the aftermath of that. So our hearts go out to you, and we hope you can stay safe, and we'll be thinking of you during the recovery efforts and stuff. But we're glad things are okay enough that you are here with us in chat. That's a good sign, I think, if you are joining us for our D&D game. And Jeremy, after having to deal with Harvey a couple years ago, we're very glad you didn't have to deal with all of that all over again. And many of us have plenty of friends that are down in the Texas area and Louisiana and other areas affected by that. So I just wanted to mention that. I'm gonna mention Jasper's Game Day as per usual, but with the little twist, we've been talking that Jasper's Online Con is coming for a while. They actually started yesterday with a few games. I think they're roughly doing 4 games a day on different channels. There's a couple of games happening on Daddy Warbucks on Twitch. Most of the games are happening on Thread Raiders on Twitch, and on Sunday from 1 to about we'll say 1 to 8, just to be safe. 2 games in a row will be happening right here on Mini Terrain Domain. I know there's somewhere, I think there's somewhere around $6,000 raised right now as of most recently. But if you want more information on that, how you can give and have it be directly in this particular fundraiser, you can head over to the Jasper's Game Day Twitter, and they have a full several art promos with all the games and DMs and players. Staffin, who was in one of the games yesterday, just said they're at 7130 right now, $7,130 raised, with still a couple games going on tonight, and into the rest of the weekend. So that is something different than our May event, the Jasper Stream Week, but this is sort of their con they put together to fill in the void of missed in-person events. So be sure to check that out. I'd encourage you to give through that way. Otherwise, of course, you can type !Jasper in the chat, and you can donate to the direct donation link. In any event, all of that money is still going to benefit Jasper's Game Day. Of course, you can also type !Coffee in the chat, and a link will pop up for some delicious Metadare roast coffee. For every 12-ounce bag you purchase of that, $3 is going to go to benefit Jasper's Game Day. Quick shout out to our stream partner and sponsor, Talon and Claw, who I believe is actually, I don't know if that game is going on right now. I think it actually is going on right now on Thread Raiders. Talon and Claw, Andrew from Talon and Claw, is playing in a game right now over there. But if you type in !MTD Claw in the chat, I love watching Jeremy try to remember it each week. It's the only one he can't remember. The link to their Etsy store will pop up. You can check out all of the awesome stuff they got going on over there. Pick out your favorite dice accessories, and when you go to checkout, use code MTDClaw to get 10% off your entire order. One other thing I want to mention is if you type in !merch, You can, of course, go to our Teespring store. We have brand new Splorch the Jelly Cube merchandise available. There are t-shirts in every color. There are sweatshirts. There's brand new zippered hoodies with a tiny little Splorch right here on the left breast. You can get a Splorch sticker. You can get shirts for your kids. Splorch is just the adorable jelly cube that he's just this little cube of acidic ooze that you just want to hug and cuddle, even if he is slowly dissolving you into a puddle of goo. As somebody once said, I will kill and die for Splorch. So head on over to teespring.com/store/mini terrain domain to check out that, as well as other wonderful t-shirts we have. 3 of them are represented on stream here. You don't have to show them if you don't want to, but I know we've got a Ham and Die, we've got a Dawnbringers, and we have an MTD Tavern being worn by 3 of the players. I'm not even wearing my own merch. I'm wearing a Fallout shirt tonight. So thank you to Staffin, who just pledged their banner. That's a wonderful point to talk about domain dice, because as the Dawnbringers certainly know, when somebody subscribes, resubscribes, etc., where look right up above where V is pointing, and there's another domain die. Domain die is your way to influence the game. All it takes is a $5 tip, 500 bits of cheering in the Twitch chat, subscriptions, resubscriptions, raids, etc. Type !domain dice as Jeremy just did, or it happens to be showing along the bottom of the screen right now. They can get rerolls. They can make me reroll all the way up to super crits. It's absolutely incredible. And look at that. There's another one. Alan just resubscribed. So you guys are back up to 115. I've got just one more announcement that I want to make before we get into the game tonight. And it is, of course, our most important announcement. And it is simply this: you matter. No matter where you are, no matter what you're going through, whether you believe it or not, you make a difference in this world. It can be a struggle sometimes to accept that, but we're doing our part to normalize mental health discussions and talk about it. There's nothing wrong with admitting you need help and reaching out to somebody. And the easiest way to do that, if you need somebody to talk to, is you can come here to Mini Terrain Domain, whether we're streaming or not. Come to the chat, type in !help, and several phone numbers, text numbers, and a web address will pop up. There are Canadian and US phone numbers and text numbers, and then that link will take you to a website full of resources for whatever country in the world you may come from. Here in the United States, you can call the National Suicide Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255, or you can text 741-741. If you are a veteran of the armed forces or you are active duty, you can press the number 1 after calling that number and be connected to a military specialized counselor. Please, 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 if you need somebody to talk to, reach out to one of those resources. Yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed about that. All right, I think I've covered all of the announcements. It's time to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Beyond?
What?
The Beyond?
Oh. Yeah, I did forget D&D Beyond. Thanks, V.
Well, it was Jeremy first.
D&D Beyond for granting us insider access. You can, of course, mouse over the stream if you're watching with us on your computer. You can see all the characters. You can click through and see their character sheets, see who they're playing, what kind of abilities they have, etc. And, of course, I'm using the D&D Beyond to run as well. Running this particular adventure is not in there, but all of my monsters are. The dice rollers, all that good stuff. It's incredible. I did want to say one more thing, not related to anything except for we have been having some minor technical glitches, and I had to switch my encoder. I know that's not going to mean a lot to people, but I'm watching, and it's constantly pinging me that there's an encoding overload. So that will account for if you do see temporary glitching on the stream and players. I've noticed it's causing my window in Zoom to flicker. That's an artifact of that, but I think otherwise you should be able to see and hear us just fine. I just like to keep you guys apprised of what's going on. All right, time for some Dungeons and Dragons. Heart of the Nightfang Spire, Whispers and Fragments, episode 16. Dawnbringers have been making your way slowly down through the heart of the Nightfang Spire, nearly dying at the hands of several fire entities in the crematorium, being whisked away heroically by Drown, or so you all thought, as you were instead whisked away into another nightmare hallucination, in which you did battle with a version of Gulthias. You awoke to find yourself in the care of some free Girolons led by the matron Thif, who gave you a heads up of what's going on, that you are in the catacombs. They want you to take care of Gulthias and free them fully, restore their territory back to them, and they will aid you in turn. To show that they would do so, Thif presented you with 1/4 of a dragon key needed to get to the core of the spire, where Gulthias is, you are told, holed up. And also, to the best of your knowledge, the mysterious Yesha, who was rescued in the tower, and unfortunately was left behind when the Dawnbringers vanished or were taken by the Girolons. Unfortunately, she seems to be possibly in the hands of Gulthias. You have been making your way through the catacombs, finding door after door after sarcophagus after sarcophagus. You have been cleaning up quite a bit of platinum and valuable gems along the way, uncovering a handful of nasty traps as well. And then you found yourselves in a sort of holding pen for several of the Girolon servitors, and they were being tended to by their captors, a coven of hags, only 2 of which you actually saw, and only 1 of which you actually killed. You dealt with all of the Girolons. That you basically killed 3 of them, and then 3 of them, once the hags were gone, stopped fighting, and you let them go. You decided it was time to take a rest here. You found some treasures hidden in the fire pit. You broke up the table and the slaver materials, the tools of their the enslavement, and burned them in the fire pit. You did find a teleportation alcove here in this room. There is also a hallway, a double-wide hallway that extends into darkness that Drown has noticed with his superior sight, with his warlock vision, that there was a set of double doors at the end of that. And there is another door off on the east wall. And that is where we are going to join you, Dawnbringers, in the midst of, or at the end of, this rest in this room. Dawnbringers, what would you like to do?
All right, I guess I'll go first.
Go for it.
So I want to, kind of go off to the side. I don't really need to do much resting. I actually came out of that fight pretty much full. So I would like to try and see if Father Griffin would have a brief conversation with me.
And how are you trying to engage him?
So typically he's always over my right shoulder, unless he decides, he's not going to be. And it's one of those things. So I would, look back and see if he's there, and if he is, I would try to, approach him about my thoughts, my ideas.
You look over your shoulder, and he's there, but his image, the image of Father Griffin to you, is not as solid as it usually is. It's always had this sort of spectral look to it, but he seems to be less visible. No matter how you look at him, and he almost seems to fade in and out, like almost completely fade from vision and then reappear slightly.
Well, I will chalk it up to the crazy supernatural undead presence that's around. I'll give him a nod and just kind of slowly, stalk about the room, trying to release some of the, pent up tension that's there.
Are you pacing, or are you just very obviously agitated as you move around, or?
It's probably, obvious agitation. I'm not gonna hold it in. It's just, it's weird. Typically the father has always been there since, even before he died. And if, he's not there, it's weird. It's awkward. And being in this place, having, enemies flee that at any moment they could come back with reinforcements. So he's kind of doing a perimeter walk.
Every once in a while, as you're sort of walking around and you kind of turn on your heel and you catch out of the corner of your eyes, you see that the father is there, and you catch him trying to say something to you, but you can only catch a little bit of it. You catch mostly is this sort of, and you just can't hear his words, and then you hear calm, interference, calm, and that's about all you can hear from him. He seems to be struggling to communicate with you.
So I'll, typically, I'll either talk in dwarf or celestial. I think at this moment celestial would be, more appropriate. So I, let him know, understood, I'm trying.
I think Talmud's going to find Thorgarn kind of on one of his passes on his circuit, and he's just going to kind of fall into step with him. And as they pass near that alcove, he's going to kind of jerk his head kind of towards it. So it sounded like they were saying they think that might be a teleportation circle of some kind.
So are we thinking that this is how we get feedback? Is this...
I'm more worried about what might have the key to that circle. I'm thinking perhaps maybe we ought to try to do something about not leaving it intact behind us whenever we go to leave.
Well, cousin, that is something that we're definitely good at, is breaking things.
Aye, that's how I handle most magic.
Well, if the others think that that's the best course of action, all they need to do is give the go-ahead and we break.
All right, well, he'll kind of turn to the rest. So, if this is some kind of form of teleportation, do you think that maybe we should destroy it before we leave?
can't remember. Did we actually use like a full-blown detect magic to see if it was anything actively magical?
No, all that was done was you and Gerithan had basically done some Arcana checks on it. And while it wasn't a true full-blown teleportation circle, the runes and things that were there did mention it seemed to be of teleportation. So it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like the difference between, and this is going to be very anachronistic and very dating of myself, but the difference between American phone booths and British phone booths. That kind of thing. Like, you know what it is, you know what it does, but wow, it looks different.
Okay, so someone could, if they had this sigil sequence, use it to target a teleportation circle spell or a plane shift, that sort of thing.
Possibly.
Okay.
So we got more things to worry about than them two that got away. Or that, I don't know whether he would say two or that one. I don't know if we discussed the other one. But...
Does it seem as old as most of the stuff in here does, or does it seem newer, like those Gulthias symbols?
It seems old.
Old. There's no guarantee that anyone knows of this sequence anymore or that uses it.
Well, the question is, do we want to risk someone actually knowing something and showing up behind us?
If you wish to destroy it, I have no objection.
Well, is there any danger in trying to mess it up?
There's always a danger with magic.
Unless we can verify that it is just a carving and not something actually enchanted, then yes, it's dangerous.
Well, I mean, like, well, my cousin and I, if we just haul off and start breaking stone, is it going to blow up on us?
Depends on what it is. I don't know. It does not look like any of the teleportation circles I've seen. Granted, I haven't seen many. But if that is any sort of permanent magic, such as a magic item, something enchanted, I have no idea what will happen if you break it. Can you see if it is magical? I can't.
That's not really what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if memory serves, the last time that we've talked about it, teleporting itself can be dangerous if there's something in the way, aye?
Well,
depending. The way the helm teleports, yes.
Father Greffin put a spell on a chalice, or somebody did, that was traveling with us, and when one of the orcs went after it, it went kaboom. So I definitely know that there are ways to put a spell of protection on something, but I don't really know how to find them. So what about this? I just back away and hurl Forge Fane at it?
You hurl Forge Fane at the thing?
At the circle, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's gonna
Target
try
practice.
He's going to try and deface the sigils.
Yes.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Believe
this
you're
is not a
attacking
bad,
the
a bad
runes,
idea.
not just throwing it into the alcove.
They ever teleports.
Zoop. Well,
And
So-
yeah.
then you just pull a Thor and
I
hold
was
out
just
your
gonna
hand,
say.
and we wait.
What exactly are
Are
you
you
targeting? What exactly are you targeting with your hammer?
So, like, it's a circle carved in the stone floor, correct?
It's an alcove that has sigils carved into the floor, yes.
Okay, so I'll aim for a more decorative edge of the circle. I'll try to be, 30 feet away and just try to bust up the stonework.
Okay. So, yeah, you take Forge Fane, you throw it, it goes into the alcove, and boom, vanishes.
Jacob Noorman, I was joking.
There is a risk.
Teleportation circles are no joke.
I attempt
Oh
to
my
call
God.
it back.
Okay. For a moment, you hold out your hand, and nothing is happening. And then
we know it's an active teleportation circle.
And then it reappears in the alcove and zoom, back to your hand.
Well, that was dangerous, but informative.
Did it come back with a note on it?
Do I see anything different about it?
It looks like it's 100 years older. I'm just kidding. It's a mirror image of itself. No, it
-3 weapon now. Ah!
It's yeah, it just there's a note on it that just says ow. Don't do that. No, it comes back. It's still when it comes back to your hand, it still has the warmth of you holding it previously. It's your hammer. You're attuned to it. You know it's magic. Give me Thorgarn. Give me a perception check.
Ooh, that's above a 10. That's a 14 total.
Given your connection to Forge Fane and how long you've had this hammer and used it, you know that there's the connection. You suspect that the connection, if you had teleported this hammer to like another dimension or far across the realm, you probably wouldn't have been able to call it back. You don't know how far away or to where it was teleported, but you sense it had to be close enough that you still maintained a connection to it.
Okay.
Gerithan, what are you doing as the dwarf is throwing his hammer into the alcove and it disappears? Because you were standing not that far from the alcove, actually.
That is true. I was like leaning.
You were
against
basically
wall
near the edge of it.
I would have asked everyone to back away, because if this thing was going to explode the way Thorgarn thought it could have been, I didn't want anyone in the blast radius.
Gerithan would have stayed put and watched as the axe just flew past him, flipped out, gave a little huh, and then watched as it came back a moment later. Would Gerithan come to the same conclusion about potential proximity, or would he have any insight into the functionality?
I'll say rolling in, because you had when you were investigating, doing your Arcana check last time. As I recall, you had a very high result on that. So I'd say yeah, you would get the same impression that something that was teleported to another dimension or far across the realm, you would lose a connection to, or would not have come back quite so quickly. As you're staring into this thing, some illumination appears. You sort of see your shadows dancing as Griveth is standing there looking over your shoulder with Dawnbringer drawn out. And he says, "Friends, this is dangerous. We must destroy this. We cannot leave such evil behind."
We'll go through the portal and fight it. Go on!
The portal is the evil.
So fight the portal. Pray to Eldath. I'm sure she'll help.
That's a good idea. And he immediately
actually
drops to a
evil?
knee.
Or do you just not like it?
We don't know
I think
what
very
evil
much.
could come from that.
Right.
I think Talmud is going to gather up whatever broken pieces of tools and furniture that wasn't burned in the fire, and he's going to start basically sticking them kind of at the edge of this teleportation hole, this teleportation circle, just sticking inward like pig poles.
Like what?
Like pig poles, like a pike.
Balls.
Oh, okay.
If somebody teleports in, they'll just hopefully get stuck on them.
He's turning the alcove into an Iron Maiden.
I got
There
you.
you go.
I got you. Okay. So yeah, with a little bit of time, you're able to set this sort of improvised trap up.
I will help.
Okay. Let me just for the fun of it, both of you go ahead and roll, or one of you can roll. If you're helping, then Talmud, you could roll with advantage. Roll me a... I'm going to let you choose the skill that you are employing to build this trap, and then use that to roll, and we'll just see what the result is.
So what about survival?
Sure. If you want to use survival.
Do you want to roll with advantage there, sir, or do you want me to roll and you roll?
Well, my survival's a +0, so if you'd like to roll, you can go ahead.
My survival's a +5.
That's much better than a +0.
The Thorgarn's like, Talmud starts stacking stuff up, and every time he turns to get more material, Thorgarn's completely rearranged it.
Oh my god, he's my wife.
So, rolling with advantage, that's a 16 and an 18 on the die, so that is a 23.
Yeah, you make a very stable trap that will stand without any assistance, and will make for a very bad day if somebody were to teleport directly into this, expecting there not to be a spiked trap. So, well done. Cantriel, what are you up to while everybody else is building traps and such?
Probably be the first thing is sort of almost like feeling where the scratch wound was and replaying that bit in her head to see if she can remember more beyond just hearing the voice and then feeling the pain of the claws going into her back.
Go ahead and give me an intelligence check. Straight up intelligence.
Straight up intelligence. Okay. Wait, that's the wrong PC. That's going to be a 14.
The feeling that you're left with as you're sort of, even though you've been healed and healed yourself, you know, of the initial damage, this was primarily a psychic attack. So even the magical healing, it's leaving the after effects. You're feeling that. However you would, I'll leave it to you to determine how you interpret it. But what you're feeling is the result of a dream or nightmare that had an element of fear to it. The fear that you are feeling and interpreting, you can't quite put your finger on what is the source of it, but it's just lingering at the edge of your thoughts, and it's not, the feeling you're getting is not trying to remember the dream itself, but it triggered a memory that was very deeply buried, related to your father. But what that memory is, you're not certain. There's something, every time you try to think about it, you see your dad's face. Remind me of how you pronounce his name again.
God,
it's Calamicus. I don't have Calamicus. So you see his face, but when you try to concentrate on it, it gets blurry in your mind. But you definitely know it had something to do with your father.
Oh, then talking to my bow. Hey, Mama.
Are you going to summon her then? Or are you just going to talk to her through the bow?
No, I'm just going to talk. No, I'm going to basically summon her, yeah.
You don't have to. I didn't mean to imply you had to expend that ability.
No, it's totally okay, because I mean, she floats around until I say go away.
Yeah, she appears as a shadow. From where you're at, there's a bit of shadows, dark spots that are created by Dawnbringer, the glowing sword, as well as the dwindling fire. And it's sort of the war of light on the wall between this radiant light and this warm firelight. The shadow that is in the void between these two lights. In a moment where it, just in a flicker, in the blink of an eye, it becomes very dark. That shadow peels itself away from the wall and takes the form of the shadow form of your mother. She steps forward. It's been a while since you've called me forth.
Well, things have happened, I suppose, and it's like one of those things where, remember I'd put something away and I'd forget about it and couldn't quite find it, but you always seemed to help me in the end?
Of course.
It's like that. Except you haven't helped me yet. I'm in the in-between.
What have you lost, dear?
A memory, I think. Or memories, even.
Memories. They can be fleeting and sometimes dangerous. But what is it you're trying to remember?
What father would do. Why he was doing it. He was always in his books, always researching, always finding out more, teaching us Draconic and everything about dragons. I didn't question it when I was younger, but everything considered now.
She looks at you, and for just a moment, the light of Dawnbringer, as Griveth is kneeling in prayer with the sword before him, the light sort of shimmers behind her, and as it does so, it almost looks like rays of sunlight passing through a cloud, and for a moment within the shadow, you can see the Eladrin features of your mother. You can see her more like she looked like in life. And it brings into focus the concern and almost this sort of relief across her expression. And you hear her, "That was something we had hoped to be able to talk to you about when we returned."
But you didn't.
We didn't. And it's something that is becoming more and more apparent that is inevitable. You and your father, your fates seem to lie along the same path to a certain extent, as it were.
A Chardalon.
Yes.
Why? I mean, Lady Vantage, she said something in the blood.
Your father was a great man. You know this. He was an honorable man. He was a man of integrity. I loved him dearly, and you loved him dearly.
But
your father was half dragon.
beg pardon?
He used magical powers, magical items, to suppress the appearance of his draconic ancestry But your father was half elven and half red dragon of the bloodline of a Chardalon.
So what, a Chardalon's my great-great-grandpappy?
Perhaps a few more generations back, but you, and not necessarily that direct, but yes, the blood of a Chardalon flows through you. And
So that's why Gulthias wants it.
that's why Gulthias wanted all of us. He was trying to use us to get closer to something he didn't understand. And for the longest time, he didn't even know about you until he broke your father. And your father, he lasted as long as he could. And in a weird way, Gulthias admired that, honored it, and even tried to bring your father back.
You don't mean like what we've been fighting?
I do. But he couldn't. Your father resisted. And your father accepted death. True death. At the hands of Gulthias. It was an attempt to protect you.
What about Sonato and Octavio? Did he try to do the same with them?
He did. But it wasn't here. We don't know where they were taken. It was, as I told you, when you first found me in this form, that we were all separated, and my spirit was wrapped up into this weapon by the dragon, and then stolen by the other dragon and kept in its hold for nearly 100 years. I know Gulthias tried to distill the blood of a Chardalon from your brother and your sister, but I don't know where, and I don't know their fates. Cantriel,
What?
your father is here.
What
This
do you mean he's
Here, in this place, is where your father was destroyed by Gulthias. Here, these catacombs. If you continue on the path you are on, you will find a crypt, and in that crypt you will find a sarcophagus erected by Gulthias out of the respect that he held, perhaps out of the madness that consumes him. He built a tomb for your father in these catacombs.
Does it have his name on it?
It is carved with his image. You've seen many of the sarcophagi in this place. Gulthias destroyed many elves. Elves far outnumber the faces carved of any other race on these sarcophagi, because he knew
That hasn't gone unnoticed.
he knew when he was searching for your father and the rest of us, he knew it was somebody elven. I don't know if he knows, if Gulthias truly knows who you are. But if he does, he is going to try and make you his. He is going to try and turn you to him.
Well, fat chance on that one. Griveth couldn't even do that.
She kind of she chuckles a laugh that is not filled with mirth. It's just acknowledging you're using humor to deflect. And she kind of looks over at where Griveth is, and Griveth doesn't seem to have heard.
So this is a completely out loud conversation that she's
Yeah, because when she's outside of the bow, Melody communicates verbally. Unless Cantriel, you were making efforts to speak only in Elven, only those who spoke Elvish would understand.
By nature, she'd speak in Elvish with her
Okay,
mother.
so only anybody who speaks Elvish would be able to follow this conversation.
That is certainly not I.
Does anybody here speak Elvish?
Talmud is not learned, nor is he really paying attention to anyone. If nobody's getting his attention, he's just kind of in meditation, regaining.
I would say that, yeah. Then you know that she's for most of you except for Gerithan. Actually, this may be new for you, Drown. I don't know if she summoned her mother before in your presence. Has she?
Yeah, I've seen her in a couple of battles.
Summoned, yeah.
Okay.
Summoned, yes, but not spoken with.
So this might be a little weird, Gerithan, that Cantriel has summoned a shadow and that looks sort of like a shadowy version of her.
Gerithan will kind of just slide over down the wall towards wherever Drown is, and just kind of. Does this thing happen often?
So Drown is just kind of propped against the wall, maybe 10 feet away from the teleporty alcove death trap, and he's just sort of staring down at his open palms, and you can see the black tattoos on his hands are sort of writhing and curling of their own accord, almost like just like an animated GIF sort of thing, like where someone takes a painting and then animates it digitally and then shares it on Twitter. It looks sort of like that. And
was
his
very
eyes
specific.
are shimmering with this, looks like the last little bits of sunlight shining down into seawater, that sort of green ripple. He looks up and he kind of looks over and almost like he's noticing the conversation for the first time. Usually she sends the shade of her mother to suck the life out of our enemies. I haven't seen them converse like this. At least not much.
Huh. Gerithan will just kind of to himself mutter, "Bunch of freaks over here."
Oh,
What
Uh-oh.
happened?
what just happened?
Did we lose a Ted? No?
We
Yes?
appear to have lost someone. I don't know.
Yeah. I know. I need to go away now.
Oh.
Bye.
Hold on, because. All right, hold on.
I don't know
Hold on. I
what's
gotta
going
fix
on.
something. I gotta fix something. I gotta turn. Oh, I know what it is. I gotta turn my camera off. Oh,
Oh dear.
I know what.
Uh-oh.
It might have weirdly
A
been
lot
my
of
fault.
jinx going on right now.
It might have
Pay
weirdly been my
attention
fault
to the man
because
behind the curtain.
yeah. There's
What's that
break him
green?
down.
You're not sitting in front of a dungeon wall?
what? Oh no!
Illusion is shattered, Jacob.
Don't look at me! Don't look at me!
My immersion.
I just realized this hour and a half has almost killed my phone battery trying to hold this place.
Oh, did it die?
Oh dear.
I think it might have when it brought the 20% warning.
It dropped.
And I can't get this. All right, do this.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
now
Dan, right?
Dan,
You'll
turn
need to
yours
tell me if I need to
turn
my
yours
camera
off, Dan, and then I'll turn
I
mine
don't
on.
know what's going on. Okay.
No one does.
Okay. Now everybody can come in order, and we'll straighten this out.
But who's first?
Dan,
Me?
you first.
Dan, you're first.
I first. Hooray.
Then me. Wait, where's my mouse? There's a mouse.
And I.
And then I'm going to have you guys, in character, go ahead and chat amongst yourself. I'm going to go grab my charging cable from the other room.
The Dawnbringers spend a good minute and a half just sort of wandering around, changing footnote.
On marching order. No, you first.
Disappear.
Yeah.
No.
I'll, you just hear a voice. It just says, talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Dungeons and Shadows. Go. I'll be right back.
What are you two looking at?
You know, Griveth, that's my armor. You're not going to be able to fit into that.
So what do you guys like to do for fun?
As far as I can tell, their recreational activities include alienating entire villages.
Just the one?
With us, yes.
Just the one, but there was one.
Indeed. And they're a bunch
That's
of screws.
forgotten, honestly.
Kidding aside, the village brought it on themselves. If they continue as they have, they'll be dead in a generation.
Which
That's a bit
village do you
bleak.
speak of?
It's called Salt Marsh.
So,
I said Shadows and Dungeons. I didn't say anything about Salt Marsh.
Shush.
Too late.
You're right here.
do you
Shadows
think
of
anything's
past
actually
came
going to come through this portal? You know, as you know, Talmud and Thorgarn are finishing up, you know, this little spike trap.
Well, I mean, you threw your hammer, it came back.
Well,
Now
yeah.
that we have,
So
now that we
obviously,
have
it's,
determined it is a transportation of some sort, it's entirely possible.
Could lead somewhere else here in this, wherever we are.
It could.
Well, who wants to be the guinea pig?
I've had a bad experience with spontaneous teleportation recently, so I'm not exactly keen.
Oh, it didn't agree with you.
Didn't sit well with me at all.
you got stuck with us.
Aye.
I think there's this loud sigh from Talmud. Fine. And then he starts
I
like,
was
dude, no.
kidding.
I'm gonna
Stop.
I was kidding.
no, we are not going through there.
Are you talking about a guinea pig in the teleportation alcove?
No, we're saying
Yes!
who wants to be the guinea pig.
Very much.
I leave you alone for literally 2 minutes.
And we have to
Fuck your
restrain.
And
Last time
Talmud's
you
about to
episode,
climb
we
in.
had a fight.
Thorgarn takes the ride through the, you know, the spiked you know, tube, and you know, Talmud gets to go through the teleportation circle. It's all good, right?
Of spikes.
Cantriel doesn't know the beast sense spell, does she? Since she's a ranger?
You mean prime?
No, spell, not feature.
No,
Do you
I
know
have
the beast
primeval
sense?
awareness, but I don't have that one.
Beast sense lets you like sense ride on an animal so you can see through its eyes.
I'm not that kind of ranger.
That's fair enough.
So before the weird technical interruption, was there anything else you wanted to say or to your mom or anything else?
To be perfectly clear, when I find father, he's not one of these creatures we've had to fight, is he?
As I said, he refused all of Gothias's attempts, and for whatever reason, Gothias at the time honored that and gave your father true death, and he was entombed in a crypt here in the catacombs. Whether or not Gothias honored that, I don't know. It is my hope that if you find him, it will be his bones at rest in a sealed sarcophagus.
And if it's not,
Well, if it's not, you know what that could mean.
So are you ready to put an end to it with me?
If we run into something that wears any form of what was once your father, you need to understand. The man that I married, the man that was your father, is dead. And that will just be a thing animating his bones.
Then we're in agreement.
She looks you with a firm gaze and says, "Swift death to our enemies."
Every time.
I'm sorry you
Well,
had...
gang, guess what? I'm a dragon! Sort of.
Brown's like, I didn't understand any of that, but it sounded incredibly dramatic.
It's elvish, it always is.
What
You're
do
a
you mean
what
a
now?
dragon?
I'm a dragon.
You're,
Diluted.
Is elf dragon a new thing that kind of looked at Talmud and Drown?
Well, apparently my father was part dragon.
Oh,
From the bloodline of a Chardalon.
Like the
Like, yeah.
dragon. From-
Like altars and smashing and all that, yes.
Oh. What? Huh.
Yeah, it's a lovely development, isn't it?
That's kind of a big secret to just found out now.
Well, I just found out now.
Wow.
we didn't know the connection to Cantriel and the Cult of the Dragon, did we? Because that was kind of kept between you and Lady Vantage, as I recall. Okay.
Yeah,
There
Cantriel
was hints of
deliberately...
it, but not.
Yeah, Cantriel had a private conversation with the Lady Vantage and had, yeah, as I recall, had never fully spoken to anybody about the details of that conversation.
Yep, that's fine.
So,
Are you good? Are you okay with pressing deeper into this place? And
look, as far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm alive and Golthias is alive, bad things are going to keep happening. So it's either him or me. And quite frankly, I'd rather it be him.
So is Grandpappy Kill All Dragon still on? I just kind of smacked the hammer in my hand, the kill list.
Fine by me.
Is it our eventual goal to kill a Chardalon?
I think that's been discussed a couple of times, yeah. There was that
First on the
whole-
list is Golthias.
Yes.
He's the reason I don't have a family. Focus on that one. Can always deal with a Chardalon if or when we encounter.
There was that whole
And it could be a family reunion.
There was that whole giant in the sea thing that was talking about it, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
well, I think we should press in. We should go.
Just one more thing. Before smashy schmashy open sarcophagi, I need to look at them first. Each one.
All right.
Of course.
Or, so, does anyone know anything about those ugly women that I kind of, I guess, point towards the one dead body that we have? Were they just spellcasters, or is there something special?
They're a coven of hags. Jake, the dead one's a green hag, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And you also saw a night hag.
A night hag, and then something else I didn't get a good look at.
Nobody ever got a true look at the other hag. You saw the form, and Cantriel heard the voice.
Right.
And felt the
And felt the sting of the nightmare attack.
Yeah.
Right.
So, are they something like, I know one got away, so like, did they flee because they cared about their lives, or like, are they up ahead plotting our destruction?
Both can be true.
Live to fight another day.
They certainly aren't likely to throw their lives away needlessly, and they have the means to step from one world to another to escape. Why would they not use it if the tide turned against them? I would. We may likely see them again, but we did break their coven. They are weaker if there are only two.
How easy is it to get a new one?
He just kind of shrugs.
Well, I could always join him and then they could work for us.
That is
Shut up,
possible.
Talmud.
So, are we ready to press on and see what else is next here?
Yeah, let's
Certainly.
get out of here.
The
Let's find out
doors
what
for the small.
fresh hell. Of course, the doors.
Big
Oh,
double
what
doors
one?
to the northwest at the end of a tunnel, or on the east wall, there is a standard door.
So there's another door out. Pardon me. There's another door out of this room, and then big tunnel down a ways, big door.
You know, we know that we're no longer in like the circular confines of the tower structure, right? We're
We're under it.
Yes, you're under the tower.
okay. Well, is there a difference in the makeup of either sets of these doors?
One is a standard stone door that you've encountered many of, the one to the east. The doors to the northwest. Let's see, you're in that room. What's that? Okay. The doors to the northwest are larger and heavier. They're double doors, and they have carvings. As you look closer at them, they do have draconic imagery carved into them.
Well, my guess is if we're pressing into some kind of layer or place where this Golthias is staying, he's kind of a self-absorbed prick, so I'm pretty sure he's behind these doors here.
Well, then let's go. Do you want Noorman back out and about?
Sure does go a lot smoother whenever he's opening the doors.
All right, well, let's get him working again. So, Noorman. And she'll sort of rip off a strand from one of her skirts and
So-
just sort of fling this thread out so Noorman appears. Well, appears.
So, Cantriel, do you think your whole new lineage thing could that be why that little one follows you around?
What, Verity?
Isn't that a dragon?
Well, yeah, he's a fairy dragon.
Could that be why he's with you?
I never asked. I just thought he was cute. I mean, can't she communicate telepathically with him? Right? Or there's something.
I think there was a
There
limit
you
to
go.
that. I think he just sort of basically understands what you're saying. It's been a while since I've looked at
Oh,
it.
it can commute with other fairy dragons.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Uh-oh.
I didn't mean to, push. I was just throwing a fun thing out there.
No, it's fine. I mean, I've always had a thing for dragons. Now it just makes sense. What? You were going to say something, Talmud.
I wouldn't dare.
You're getting smarter, aren't you?
No.
Not according to my character sheet, no.
So, are you had decided you're going to head towards the double doors carved with dragon inscriptions or imagery, and Noorman has appeared. Noorman the Invisible Servant, Noorman the Doorman, and if you instruct Noorman to open the door, he will in fact open the door, sort of pushing these heavy stone doors. They swing relatively easy open inward, and you hear this sort of light scraping of stone, and they're open far enough for all of you to be able to pass through, and you see that the room is now a 30-foot long and 20-foot wide corridor with another set of double doors at the far end heading straight north. There's nothing else of note in this room. If you push forward to the second set of doors, Noorman is able to also open those doors, also with the dragon carvings on them. When these doors open up, you see a room that is 20 feet wide and is 25 feet long to the north. However, the northeastern section of the corridor has a curved wall curving inward towards you. Set into a straight section of the wall is an iron box about a foot on either side, sticking out from the wall about 6 inches. There is a keyhole in the center of this iron box, and inscriptions, or rather carvings, engravings, that's the word I want, of dragon imagery all around this keyhole.
Is there any footprints or any evidence on the ground of recent activity?
There is not.
This must be where we would use the key once we have acquired all of its pieces and reassembled it.
Oh, great. We know how to get here, but we don't have all the keys or parts of the key.
We must continue to map the level.
More craft paper. So that's the only exit out of this space?
No, there was another doorway.
There was a door back in the room that you were in with the...
Well, sorry, I meant this one particular...
Yes, there's no other doors or anything.
Okay. Well, I suppose we should backtrack to the other doors and find out where they go.
All right. If everybody's in agreement, you can do so pretty easily. You head back. Technically, this counts for those keeping score. That counts as 2 rooms. As you make your way back to the room you came through, do you close the doors behind you, or do you leave them open?
I think leave them open.
Okay. So you head back, and there is as I said, there's the door on the east wall. You hear that shuffling sound and the occasional pebble kicked as the invisible Noorman shuffles across the floor, gets to the door, opens it, revealing a narrow corridor that sort of moves a little bit to the north and then heads east for about 30 feet and then north again at another door, because we know how much the Dawnbringers love doors. And unless you tell him otherwise, Noorman is going to open this door as well. As the door opens, you see it opens into a room that is 20 feet by 20 feet, and in the northwest corner, it looks like there was once doors there, but they lie in shattered remains on the floor. The first thing you notice as the door opens up is that there is a smear of blood across the floor. Looking into this room and through into where you can see from here into the adjoining room, which is slightly larger, you see blood in wide swaths, splattering arcs, pools on the floor, all throughout this room. You see scorch marks, you see sections of tile floor and walls that are shattered, and you see the bodies of a handful of dead Gerithan's in this room. It looks like relatively recently the blood is sort of is pretty much dry at this point. It's not like a fresh battle took place here, but in the not too distant past, it looks like a great struggle happened in this chamber, or maybe more than one struggle happened in here, and that's what you see from looking into the room where you're at right now. Do you all proceed further into the room?
I think Talmud would, probably cautiously, seeing the carnage. He'll kind of heft Ghost Cleaver up kind of across his waist, holding on, one hand kind of right below the beard of the axe, and the other one kind of close to the pommel at the end of the haft. And he just kind of stalks forward, kind of wrinkling his nose up against what I'm certain is a stench in this room, if it's been several days since these things died.
Talmud, one second. Mother, could you kind of just do a swing around for us and let us know what to expect in there?
Aye. And she sort of steps forward, and you just see her sort of turn into wisps of shadow as she quickly moves into the other rooms. A moment later, she comes back. There's 3 rooms in total. They seem to all have once been adjoined by doors. The other 2 are slightly larger than this one. There's a few more bodies of these things, these Gerithan creatures. It looks as though maybe some of the ones that are free were fighting against the ones that were enslaved. I see some wearing those masks. In the far side, the 3rd room over, it looks like at one point maybe they were trying to clean up, like you've seen them throughout here doing. There's a chest and a sarcophagus in that last room. And then she quickly looks at you and says, "It's got the carving of a dwarf on it. It's not your father."
Not the one. Well, we could always go and check out the dwarven sarcophagus and chest.
All right.
Also,
so
I'm sorry. I didn't realize that Mom could help out with this type of thing.
Sure. It's fine.
Really? I honestly didn't even think about doing that until now, so...
I understand.
Oops.
All right, so if everybody moves in, you'll see, just as she described it, in total, there looks to be throughout these rooms, which the 2 bigger rooms are about 15 feet wide, 15 to 20 feet wide, and about 25 feet almost 30 to the north, from north to south, with sort of archways that once held doors between them. You find a total of about 8 dead Girlons in here. And you actually find 2 dead of those skeleton creatures that had the organs visible and the long bitey tongue. You find 2 of those dead. And as Melody said, in the third room over, on the southern wall, there is a sarcophagus laying flat with dwarven runes carved in it and a dwarven relief sculpture. And next to it on the floor is a dusty looking chest. In this room, it does look as though perhaps the servitors and the morgues were cleaning, organizing, when they were interrupted by the other Girlons, probably from Thif's tribe, and a battle ensued. There is also, of note, in this particular chamber, there is a door in the northern wall.
Do you want me to examine the sarcophagus in case there are any surprises?
I was going to have, Talmud and Thorgarn take a look at it and see if there's, any, names or anything that we might recognize.
But if you want to look it over for possible traps around, that would be much appreciated.
Certainly.
All right. Drown
will cautiously lumber forward and kind of examine it as he gets close.
Okay.
If it looks safe, get close.
Go ahead, make an investigation check and tell us what you're doing to investigate it. How are you checking it for traps?
All right. Well, it's not super great. I'm going to burn a domain die.
Dan, chat saying you're a little bit on the quiet side.
All right.
And I don't know why I was so caught up in the other stuff I didn't notice you were a tad bit quieter.
It's gone up.
Might have been I was a little far away from the microphone.
Okay.
Is it better now, or?
I think so. Yep.
Okay.
Right. And you burned a domain die, yeah?
I burned a domain die because a 13 is most assuredly not good enough to find a trap. Hopefully a 21 is better. And so Drown is going to approach, keeping an eye on the floor, make sure there's nothing he's going to step on or trip. Assuming he manages to get up to the sarcophagus itself, he's going to start by examining the seal around the lid, assuming there is one, to see if there are any catches, little pins that might break or pull if it were to be opened, to see if it's maybe sealed with something, might release nastiness that's contained within, that sort of thing.
So you're kind of getting in real close, just visually inspecting it.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking all around it, I imagine Talmud and Thorgarn sort of eagerly wanting to get close and inspect these runes and stuff, and peering around as you're just kind of, your big bulk is crouching down low and looking around at this thing, and you don't see any signs of any tampering or anything that looks like it's trapped in any way.
Okay. No odd runes that seem out of place, anything like that?
No. Do you read Dwarvish?
No.
Okay.
Oh, God, no.
Yep. You give it the all clear.
I'll recognize the alphabet because Giant and Dwarvish use the same alphabet, but no, I don't read Dwarvish.
Okay.
All right, yeah. So I'll sort of step back. I don't see anything alarming.
So Thorgarn knows dwarf and undercommon, so if it's a different type of dwarf, he's probably got it.
Thorgarn and Talmud, as you're looking at this sarcophagus, the runes, the dwarven runes that go around the edges of this thing, where family lineage and such would be carved, you're trying to read it and it's not making any sense. And you realize this looks like if somebody explained Dwarvish to a non-Dwarvish speaker, and then that person tried to emulate the Dwarvish language. There's no real words here. This is gibberish carved into the side of the sarcophagus.
Seems like an awful lot of trouble to go through just to make it look dwarven.
What kind of fucking nonsense is this?
You got Thorgarn almost swearing. It's serious now.
You don't mess with dwarven culture.
Maybe we should
What?
open
It's
it.
kind of close to how Uncle sounds every so often, isn't it?
So, this isn't really dwarven. This just
No.
it's weird.
It looks like what my brother used to do when he was learning it.
Suspicious.
So I'll just kind of
I'm gonna
give a
open
big heave ho and just shove the top off.
So Talmud and Thorgarn are kind of working together to push the top off. You grab hold of the edge of the lid and you go to push it, and as you do so, Cantriel, you notice that where Talmud and Thorgarn go to push, the stone briefly takes on a flesh tone. Thorgarn and Talmud, your hands are completely stuck to this sarcophagus.
Oh.
And when we get back from our break, we're going to roll for initiative.
It's a sarcophagus.
Wow. You got me.
I gotcha.
Now you know how she felt with the damn bed. And you can't miss you, Steph.
Turnabout's fair play.
Totally.
All right, so we are going to go ahead and take a brief break. I always forget to open the timer app until break time. You'd think I'd know by now. It's like, it's not like I'm a professional producer or anything. So, yeah, we're going to take a quick break. Thank you to everybody who has tuned in so far. Thank you to the new follows. And of course, thank you to those who have subscribed, earning domain dice for the players, one of which was already burned, and a couple new follows coming in right now. Type ! domain dice if you want to know how domain dice are used for the game. And just thank you everybody for joining us as we have fun tonight playing our game. We'll be back in 10 minutes after a brief break, and we are going to roll for initiative at that time. We will see you on the other side of the break. And we're back. While we were away, I had everybody roll initiative. So, as we see, Thorgarn and Talmud have tried to push the lid off of the sarcophagus, and we see them lean into it. And Thorgarn and Talmud, you immediately feel, one, the stone budges, but sort of where your hand is pushing, it's mushy and fleshy feeling. And now you see what Cantriel saw. You see the stone where your hand is touching it takes on the texture and tone, the coloration of your own skin tone. And your hands are affixed firmly to this crypt. You can just see that the crypt is starting to, the lid of it almost ripples. And you can see where that seam in the front on the long edge where you had just moments ago, Drown, inspected for traps, the seam begins to pull apart, and you can see what looks like rows of teeth inside there. And on the surface of it, this relief carving of a dwarf, his arms seem to elongate and lift up from the lid, forming these pseudopods, and Drown. It is your go.
All right, so Drown backed off to give the dwarves room to do their thing. He kind of backed towards the door. So how far am I away from the sarcophagus at this point?
I'd say you could probably no more than 10 feet if you wanted to stay that close.
I mean, he just backed off to like the wall, so if the room is that small, that's fine. All right, so he sees them sticking to it. That's no good.
Well, I mean, so you have 30. You have like 30 feet of room that you could have moved away if you wanted to be further away.
So he probably would have gone more like 15-ish.
Okay.
20
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
You know, just back kind of like halfway towards the door. All right, so with that in mind, he will not bother to run up and smack it because they're obviously sticking to it. He's going to throw out his hand and unleash those crackling beams of greenish rippling energy with his Eldritch Blast. And I'm going to try and pull it off of them if I can with Grasp of Hadar. So we'll see if I hit it. Well, that's going to be a critical hit. And then probably 2 just normal hits after that. So I'll go ahead and crit it first.
Automatic max damage, then roll your damage dice one more time.
Right. Thank you for the reminder. So that is 17 force damage, and it gets pulled as that blast sort of solidifies into a spectral tentacle, wraps around it, and yanks it 10 feet toward me.
The mimic?
The mimic. It's an Eldritch Invocation. Once per turn, when I hit with an Eldritch Blast, I can pull something 10 feet toward me.
Is there a size limit on what you can pull?
Huge.
Oh, well, it's not huge.
Or so, as long as huge, I can't pull. I believe larger, smaller, I can get.
Okay. Yeah, this is considered large because it's like a full-size sarcophagus.
Sure.
But yeah, so it and Thorgarn and Talmud are pulled towards you.
Oh, you know what? There is no size limit on this one. Sorry. Oh, so they just stay stuck to it. It doesn't pull it off them at all.
No, they're pretty much their hands are firmly adhered to this.
All right. Well, it was worth a try. So
this whole sarcophagus slides. It's now away from the wall and is in the midst of the room. And Talmud and Thorgarn, you're sort of like, whoa! And you guys get pulled along with it.
Oops.
My question, because we didn't clarify this. Talmud and Thorgarn, were you both on one side trying to push the lid off, or were you on opposite sides trying to pull the lid off?
I would say
I picture just
the same size, you know.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, that's kind of what I pictured too, but I wanted to make sure.
That's the way I pictured it, and it's a lot more comical in my mind that way, anyways. So,
so between the 2 second non-critical hits, it's a total of 17 force damage.
Okay. 17 force. Vientos.
And that'll be my turn.
All right, Talmud. Talmud, you are considered grappled, and
Okay.
Thorgarn. So, and with your hands fully taken, or occupied, I should say,
Yeah.
you will have to attempt to escape if you want to do anything, unless you
I
can
think
creatively
that's-
do something.
No, I think that's exactly what he's going to be trying to do, is just muscle his hands kind of away from this thing's surface.
All right, go ahead and give me a athletics check.
I think, yeah, he's pissed off enough about this situation that I think his tattoos kind of start to glow, and maybe even like glow into like the stone a bit, like where his hands kind of make contact and kind of like continue the pattern into the stonework, just like a small percent.
So
And then
this this check would be at disadvantage.
right. Okay, so as I enter the rage, and another spectral guardian will come out of. I think this one's probably Meepo. I think with traps, Meepo is definitely he understands. So this kind of elongated, draconic-looking snout kind of comes out of Talmud's face as his tattoos all glow, and he's going to say, "Let me go!" And he's going to try to pull himself free. So it would be disadvantage, but my rage gives me advantage on
Yep.
strength based.
Yeah.
So I should be able to
So
wash.
yeah, it's a wash.
Okay, excellent.
Relief on
And
the
it's
wind.
athletics, yeah.
Yep.
Good. I'm going to spend a domain die.
Yes.
7's okay.
Yes, use those domain dice.
So instead of a 7, I got an 8. That is a 16 total.
You, as you scream out in this Meepo voice to let you go, you pull with all your might, and it does this thing where its tendrils of what look like stone but reacts like gooey slime just pulls away, and for a moment your hands just boom, snap back down, and then you give it another surge, and you get your hands free. So you are no longer grappled. That was your action to break free. And you used your bonus action to rage. Do you want to move?
No, I'm going to stay put where I am, but I am
Okay.
going to draw my weapon.
All right. This creature is going to attack. It gets a couple of attacks because this is a little bit different kind of mimic. So it is, of course, first going to, with one of these dwarven, what looked like a dwarven carving, this pseudopod that's elongated from it. It is going to first attack Thorgarn. Thorgarn, that is going to be a 19 on the die for a
Going to
24 to hit.
It's gonna, isn't it at disadvantage because it's next to Talmud, who's raging?
I
He
didn't
hasn't
attack it with
attacked.
a weapon attack.
okay.
Yeah.
And it's actually because you're grappled, it's at advantage. So that was the first roll.
So the 19 hits.
That was a 24. The second one was a dirty 20. So it's going to hit you with its first pseudopod attack, dealing 10 points of bludgeoning damage. And it's going to, with its other pseudopod, it is going to strike at Talmud. That is a 13 to hit. So the pseudopod sort of lashes out like and then as this mouth is now appearing where the seam of the sarcophagus was, it is going to attempt from the side of it, the teeth sort of, as it opens, these teeth sort of actually almost hinge out and attempt to bite you, Thorgarn. That is at advantage because you are grappled. That is going to be a 19 to hit. So it will deal... As it bites you, you will take... 8 points of piercing damage and 5 points of acid damage. Gerithan, Cantriel, where are you in the room in relation to this when they were first opening the sarcophagus?
Probably would have been standing further back just by nature of using the bow and spells more often than not.
I would have kind of put myself in between, kind of fairly close, kind of mid-range.
Okay. Left side of to the left or to the right?
To the left.
Or to the center? To the left, okay. Griveth. Just looking at where everybody is in the room, would have positioned himself probably then to the right, which is going to open Griveth to an attack, but not by the sarcophagus. Griveth is going to get attacked by a single pseudopod attack from the chest that has just risen up, as its apparently big brother or whatever has joined the fray. That is going to be a 21 to hit Griveth. Griveth has an AC of 19. So that would hit Griveth for a whole measly 6 points of bludgeoning damage. All right. That is the mimic's turn. That is going to take us to Cantriel. You can clearly see now there are 2 mimics. The sarcophagus is centered on the south side of the room, though it is 10 feet closer because Drown pulled it closer. The chest mimic is on the right side of the room, pretty much now pretty close to the sarcophagus.
Okay, so Mom, what do you say you take care of that wee one over there, and I'll take care of the big guy. So send Mom over to attempt to do a strength drain on the wee chest.
Okay.
And I'll use Sempre Cavatina to shoot the big one.
Okay.
Do you have a preference as to which one goes first of us?
Nope. Do it how you want to do it. Just tell me who's attacking and what they're doing.
Okay, so this is going to be Mom. Oh, that's 2d6. Mom is going after the small chest. And that is going to be 12 to hit.
That hits.
Oh, okay. So then that was a lousy roll. Then that is 4 points necrotic damage.
Okay.
And its strength is reduced by, I forgot about that part. Its strength is reduced by 3. 3.
Okay.
That was Mom. For the little chest. And then...
Okay.
Okay, and then I'm going to go in as Cantriel. First shot to the big guy. And that's going to be a 27 to hit.
Yeah.
And 7 points piercing.
7 piercing, all right.
Second shot, same thing. Shoots and fires. That is a 14 to hit.
That will hit.
That will hit, and that's 10 piercing.
All right. These arrows, as they strike, it still kind of looks like stone mostly, though parts of it are taking on this sort of shades of almost looking like the inside of a creature's mouth, or even this sort of fleshy pink and purple as it's starting to pull apart. These arrows hit what looks like stone, but and then you watch Thorgarn, who has a really close view of this, sees as the arrows just sort of go and start to absorb into the creature. And then if you and Melody are done, then it is Gerithan's turn.
Hey. I think what Gerithan's going to do is run up on the sarcophagus mimic and unleash his torrent of pain. Now, is it possible to kind of maneuver around to kind of get a flanking advantage on this thing with one of my allies?
Because Drown pulled it away from the wall, yes.
Then I will do so.
Yeah, you'd be able to kind of maneuver around and get behind it. Basically, you kind of do a quick scooch behind where Thorgarn's still stuck to this thing, and you can get on the backside of it, sort of between the wall and it. And yeah, you can go ahead and attack with advantage then.
Fantastic.
Thank you for vindicating my dumb plan, Zach.
What? No, we worked that out. That was the plan all along. Exactly. Yeah, I'll start rolling those. And by rolling, I mean clicking the button on D&D Beyond because I don't have dice. All right, first attack is a 23.
That hits.
Yeah. I might as well roll them all.
Well, go ahead and roll your damage on the first one.
Okay. This one I am going to charge with psionic power. Now, drawing my scimitars, they don't ignite with fire this time, which is, of course, a letdown. But as I slash at this, that same kind of purpley energy wreathes the blade as I hit. It takes 7 plus. It's on a D8. 7 plus 4, so 11 points from that first strike.
As your scimitar strikes into the backside of this sarcophagus mimic, your blade sinks into it and sticks.
Oh, well, that's no good. Now, because of the psionic power on the hit, this energy kind of lurches out. I don't know if you can knock a sarcophagus prone.
You can't knock a mimic prone.
But it still does its thing. So my sword is stuck now.
Yeah, as you hit it, it sort of cuts into it, and then you see as the around where your blade strikes into it, what was stone starts to look like this obsidian of your blade, but also parts of your blade look like tendrils of stone are moving across it, as if the mimic's flesh is trying to absorb your blade.
Can I get it out?
You can use one of your attack actions to attempt to pull it out. Make a strength athletics check.
All right. Yeah, I'll do that. It's going to be a 4. Maybe I'll use a domain die to re-roll that. So instead, it's going to be a 16.
With a bit of difficulty, you do draw it out, and there's that sort of this, and you pull it away. And because of his positioning, everybody would be able to see this, that when Gerithan attacked it, his blade stuck to it.
I am now hesitant to use my remaining 2 attacks on it. Let me see. Real quick. Perusing my things I can do. And okay. I guess Gerithan's just going to kind of maybe not. He's just gonna not attack.
He uses the rest of his turn to look confused.
He uses the rest of his turn to look confused for a moment, and then he will just kind of stand on guard as he figures out how to proceed next turn.
All right, and you've got another subscription in there. And I gave you back that domain die that you burned. Thanks to What You're Looking At, Mini Terrain Domain's first ever subscriber, resubscribing for 31 months. Let's see, after Gerithan, it's Griveth. Griveth would... We all know Griveth would probably try to hit it with Dawnbringer, but would he?
Can a lightsaber get stuck to it? I say go for it, and let's find out.
In fact, I imagine seeing that Griveth just kind of looking over and saying, "Don't worry, newcomer. My blade of light won't stick to it." And he will attack it with Dawnbringer. So why is this character sheet looks weird? Hold on. Control minus. There we go. So for Dawnbringer, I need somebody to roll me Griveth's attack and tell me what you get.
I got it if nobody else does.
Do we really want Cantriel rolling for Griveth?
Oops.
First attack was a 16 on the die.
So that makes that a 26 to hit. Griveth gets 2 attacks.
Second attack is a total of... Sorry, what was his bonus? Plus 10?
Plus 10.
Second one's a 15.
All right. 15 total?
Yeah.
Okay. Those will both hit. So that'll be... I'm trying to read this. It's really small on my screen.
Probably smite on one of them.
Yeah, I feel like he would.
Does.
Sunblade, right?
Yeah. Well, he's the damage is 1d8 plus 10 for each hit.
He's a high enough level paladin, he automatically gets a D8.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry. Is that?
Does he?
It's.
Does he have improved?
Hold on. It's 1d8 plus 10. All right. Roll 2d8 plus 10 for each attack.
Does he have improved Divine Smite?
Where is that? That's features and
I can't
traits.
remember. Is that 11th level paladin?
I believe so.
Divine Smite. When you hit one.
It is 11th level.
Yeah, I'm just
So he's
trying to
got-
read. I don't know what all he has. Extra attack, aura, courage, improved divine smite. There it is.
Yep.
Takes an extra d8.
What was his damage bonus per hit?
Plus 10.
10 per hit or 5 each? 10 total.
It's plus 10 per hit.
How?
That's what I'm looking at.
Build a Frost Giant Strength?
Yeah, does he have Jagundus strength?
Yeah, his strength is plus 6. He has a
Okay,
23
so-
strength because he has
Okay, it's a
magic.
+2 blade, and he must have dueling fighting style.
Yeah. Yep.
Ooh,
Yes, he does.
Beastly.
Yeah, that's
All
why.
right,
That's why when Griveth hits, Griveth, and he does. That's why he did like 300 damage against
And
Golthias.
he's- So that's 30 points of damage, and he's going to pump a first level Divine Smite into it on top of
Okay.
because I feel like he's extra like that. So that's going to be 39 points total.
Okay.
Radiant all the time.
And as true to form, this blade of light, as it strikes into the mimic, the thing shudders. And the blade, you do see Griveth slow down on his strokes as he passes through, but the blade emerges from the creature. His Sunblade, his Dawnbringer, is not prone to this adherence.
Gotta get me one of them.
Lightsabers for all my friends. Let's do this.
Yes. All right. And Griveth would probably say something cocky like, "That's how you do that. The power of Eldath gives me strength."
Die before the mercy of Eldath.
Thorgarn.
All right, I'm gonna try to pull myself free. You said it's at disadvantage, correct?
Yes, it is disadvantage. Straight athletics check.
All right. Well, I'm going to do as everyone else has done. Use a domain die to reroll. So that is an 18.
You said you used a domain die?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, you are able to pull your hands free, and you notice that as you pull free, where Talmud had to struggle a bit, and it sort of had this long strings of the goo. This seems to be a little brittler, and you're able to pull away from it. And parts of these like strands seem to momentarily hold the stone form and crumble away, but as they hit the ground, they turn into puddles of goo. And you are free.
I will draw my weapons and wait for next turn.
All right. That is back to the top of the order. It is Drown's turn.
That's me. All right. So yeah, everything's sticking to this thing. No good. They're both still active, right? Both mimics.
Yes.
Okay. So he's just going to harness another crackling fistful of eldritch energy and unleash another salvo into the sarcophagus. Not going to pull it near him this time because that's just no good for anybody. Do we know its armor class yet? We don't, do we?
The lowest anybody's rolled and hit it is a 12.
Okay, then I've got 3 hits. 34 points of force damage.
As you slam this eldritch energy into it, it takes the energy blast, and as it hits, you watch as the sarcophagus form across this thing seems to sort of ripple, and where it ripples, it almost looks like the stone is cracking. And what you see every time it does this, with each successive hit, its form is sort of illuminated by, I imagine it taking on this look of light through seawater. So it almost looks like you're viewing it under sunlight through seawater. And it has this almost eldritch appearance to it. It's a thing of horror. And as the third bolt slams into it, the entire thing sort of lurches, and then the whole sarcophagus form just goes and collapses into a liquid puddle that splashes, of course, all over Thorgarn, Talmud, Gerithan. The sarcophagus mimic has been destroyed.
And that's my turn.
All right. It is Talmud's turn. And you see a much smaller, seemingly less threatening, what looked like a treasure chest, with rows of teeth and pseudopods coming out of it. And Cantriel's Shadow Mother is standing next to it.
Yo, buddy.
So Talmud, Meepo kind of rounds on this other thing and screams, "I'm bad luck!" And he's going to leap kind of across the short distance that separates them and bring Ghost Cleaver down on this thing twice, almost like he's trying to like whack a mole.
All right.
Okay, recklessly, naturally. Okay, that's 23.
Yep.
And the second, that's a 28.
Definitely.
The first is 12 points of damage.
All right.
Slashing. Oh, I guess I need to roll to see if I even get my axe back.
No, you don't. Only the big mimic had the adhesion property when it was out of its object form.
Makes sense. The second damage is less impressive. That's a 10.
All right. Yeah, you give some it's weird because as you strike into what looks partially like a wooden chest, you see pieces of wood and metal banding break away with your weapon blows, but as they hit the wall, they immediately turn into this sort of purplish liquid that just starts running down the wall. And you look like you've taken some pretty big chunks, and it seems to be struggling where you've carved these gashes into it. This sort of fleshy material is struggling to reform into wood and iron banding. Anything else?
Yeah, he continues to. I imagine Meepo. I think Meepo was from the dungeon where we encountered mimics last. So yeah, I imagine this is not his first mimic. He's just kind of hopping up and down, smashing this thing. I hate these things!
All right. Well, it's the mimic's turn. And the mimic is... The mimic is going to... Since you're so close to it, it's just straight up going to try to bite you. And it has advantage because you attacked recklessly. Yeah. That is going to be a 22 to hit.
Ooh, that's close. But yeah.
That will be 10 points of piercing damage. And as it bites into you, you also feel its bite burning as you take 5 points of acid damage. So 15 total damage.
That becomes 10.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, the piercing damage is halved, but not the acid damage.
Right.
And then Cantriel, you and your mom are up.
Mom, see if you can do a little bit more to it, and then I'll follow. So we'll have Melody do her melody thing. And that is going to be a 13 to hit, hopefully.
Yep.
Okay, cool. She actually did pretty well this time with her D6. So that is going to be 13 necrotic damage, and it drops 4 points in strength.
Okay.
That's my mom.
Okay. And then your turn.
And Cantriel narrows her eyes and draws the first arrow and shoots at the wee one. And that is a 22 to hit.
Yep.
And that is going to be 7 points piercing.
Okay.
And then it's a 28 to hit the next time around. And that's 14 piercing.
Your arrows, unlike when you shot the sarcophagus, they strike this thing and they just stay sticking out. As your mother, Shadow Mother, does this damage, it takes from where it had just bit Talmud, and you see it already starting to rear, and where it was trying to reform these planks from these wounds, it stops, and everywhere there was a wound, teeth start forming. It's trying to form even more teeth as it starts opening this, what should be the treasure chest, impossibly wide, and all you see are rows and rows of teeth. You shoot that second arrow straight into the back of its throat, and as it strikes in, it just and collapses into a puddle as you kill that mimic. And you are out of combat. You have dealt with the mimics.
Well, that was not fun. Well, maybe it was for you. And she'll look at Talmud.
He's just like breathing heavy, this like reptilian face, kind of just like wide-eyed looking around the room.
Hi, Meepo.
Hi. Is it dead?
Bye, Meepo. Yes.
Ow! And he kind of just like gets pulled back into Talmud, and Talmud's just like like covered in stuff again as he comes out of his rage. Oh.
It was bad luck.
I think at this point, Drown and Cantriel are the only ones that don't have mimic juice on them.
She keeps a distance.
Talmud,
Clean kills. Come on.
I don't fully understand your connection to a kobold, but hey.
Well, he was like family to us. Simple as that.
He had a lot of heart. A good fighter.
You missed a spot.
He like pulls it out of his beard. I imagine it's almost like pure aloe vera, where it's just like this clear, just like slimy
I
blob.
can smell it.
It's like, oh god, no! I'm having a physical reaction to that thought.
Gerithan
Okay.
is going to use his psionic mage hand to just start wiping away at himself, clearing off his face and brushing off his armor as best as he can.
Talmud, do you remember anything once you come back?
No, it's bits and pieces, but it's almost like trying to remember a dream when you first wake up. It's fleeting. Why did I say something I shouldn't have? And he kind of like starts scanning the room.
You fought well and tore a mimic to pieces.
That's
Good.
Meepo.
Well, that's good. All right then.
Well,
All
there's
right.
that other door.
There is a door behind. Well, Cantriel, you're practically standing right next to it. It's in the center of the north wall.
Kind of do like one of those things, like just hold her hand out, and then Noorman would just open it.
You can almost imagine him pushing the door open and then bowing invisibly to allow passage. This next room, you see immediately the room is as wide as the room you're coming out of, so it's about 15 feet wide. It goes for about 20 feet, and then it opens up mostly to the east. But it goes for another, from the door to the far wall is 45 feet. And you can just make out that in this larger area that is 20 feet by how far to the east it goes, you don't know, there are what look like crypts, rooms within this bigger room, smaller sealed rooms. And 20 feet in front of you, immediately to your left, is a door. That's all you can see from immediately. If you proceed into the room, you'll then see past that door, about the time you get to that door to the left, you can see there are 3 of these rooms. They look to be maybe 8 feet by 8 feet square. The center one has a door facing the south. The one directly in front of you, and then the one on the far east, you can't see the doors or see if there are doors on this side. There is another door in the north wall, and as this room, so basically this room kind of goes up and then to the east. On that south side of the wall in this weird L shape, there are 2 more doors. The closest one is a standard stone door. The one to the far right is a double stone door carved with engravings of dragons. The door to your left, the closest one to you that you first saw, also has carvings of dragons on it, but it's a standard stone door.
Well, you can always have Mom zip and check a couple out if you want, or we can just have Noorman open and away we go.
Are the crypts like big slabs of stone, or does it look like they have gaps of any sort?
The one in the middle, you can see that there is a door in the center of it. So it goes towards it goes up about 8 feet as well. So it doesn't go all the way to the ceiling. They look like sort of small mausoleums, I guess, or individual crypts that you would have to open to see what is inside them.
Right. I'm just wondering if it's essentially an airtight fit with the stone slab or door sealing them, or if there's enough of a gap that the shadow could slip through.
It's fairly tight. I think the shadow needs an inch.
I think so.
I know most things that can move through gaps need an inch, and this is more like
corporeal.
Shadow can move through a space as narrow as an inch without squeezing.
There you go.
It's definitely much smaller than an inch. It's not like a perfectly airtight seal per se, but I mean you're probably talking about an 1/8 of an inch gap at most around the edge of these doors. So, to summarize, door to the left, 3 crypts, 1 whose door you can see, door in the center of the north wall, door close to you on the south wall, and double door further to the east in the south wall as well. So door, double door.
So the double door, it had dragons on it.
So does the single door closest to you.
So does a single door.
Yep.
Well, those would be the 2 that Cantriel's going to lock onto.
Okay. So the one closest to you, or do you want to go for the double doors?
What do you think? This one or that one? And she'll point between the 2. Any preferences?
Right hand.
Single door.
All right, Noorman. And she'll point to the single door with the dragon.
All right. Noorman opens the door, and you see a room that is 15 feet by 15 feet square. There is a sarcophagus on the far western wall, and you can see that there is the carving of an elven man on the lid of this sarcophagus. There is a door in the south wall of this room.
Cantriel would beeline it to the sarcophagus.
The carving is of a slender, relatively young elven man whose features you do not recognize.
She'll kind of just sigh and just turn and walk back towards the door. Not him. Do what you want.
So
Imagine.
I assume the dwarves are eyeballing the sarcophagus like they're about to do their thing. All right, so Drown will just kind of tap Talmud on the shoulder and do his careful inspection similar to as he did with the mimic.
Thorgarn is looking at it skeptically.
Thorgarn doesn't seem to be as excited too.
I had a bad experience.
Nice.
Suddenly, he no longer is as eager to open sarcophaguses.
Not so rich now, are they?
Drown will search the chest for traps.
Very well.
Oh dear. I'll avail myself of domain die because no. Dirty 20.
All right. You investigate this, and you are able to tell that there is no traps. There are no traps. It is not trapped. Trying to make that grammatical mistake work, and it's just, I'll own it.
Yeah, there you go. Just chew it. Looks clear. And Drown kind of just gets out of the way.
Kind of poke at it with a javelin.
It's stone. Tink, tink, tink. It doesn't stick.
Do it again just to be on the safe
You
side.
did it, Jake. You did it. We're never going to touch anything ever again.
It's gonna be Noorman and the Dawnbringers. Who are we kidding?
Tink, tink, tink. More stone. A little more aggressively. Tink, tink, tink.
We're going OD&D. We're going to be 10-foot
Yep.
poles, tapping every space.
Then my work here is done. And that domain die. Once again, you use them, and chat gives them back to you. Staffin just cheered 500 bits. Thank you for that.
It's a blink kitty.
Okay. So, Thorgarn, you are sure that it is clear.
So I open it up.
All right. You open it up, and inside you see a rather disappointing collection of about 50 silver pieces and a single small blue gem worth about 10 gold pieces. I assume that pause is you taking even that meager offering and adding it to your inventory.
Yeah, of course my Google Doc
Hey.
now is gonna freeze.
I check every single urn in every barrow in Skyrim. If it's 3 gold pieces, I pick it up. I loot every Draugr. So I know what I'm there with you, man. All right. You've looted the sarcophagus yet again. And
to be fair, as far as Thorgarn sees, like the plan is to bring this whole tower, this whole structure, crumbling down to the ground. This is a bastion and a place of evil. We can take this money and do good with it later, even if it's not stuff we keep ourselves. So this is not just for the dwarves' greed. Just a sec.
Griveth just looks at you and says, "This will make a fine donation to the Church of Eldath, I'm sure."
Talmud needs no justification. He's not bothered by this at all.
All right. So the sarcophagus is looted. There is one more door in the south of this wall. In the south wall of this room.
Do we wish to continue through this or back to the previous door?
Maybe at least see where this goes. If it seems to continue on, maybe we backtrack.
That's
Fine
reasonable.
by me.
Jake, the other door we saw in the crypt hallway, it was like a bigger, more ornate one. Am I remembering that?
It's a double door.
A double door. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, but that is reasonable. Let's see where this smaller door goes first.
As if on cue, Noorman opens the door. You can see in this room, it is very dusty. There's, like many of the rooms, bits of stony debris on the floor, rubble scattered. You don't see any other doors in this 15-foot by 20-foot room, but on the far southern wall, you see an ornate fountain. Though it is cracked, stained, and dry, the fountain's carving of a rampant dragon rears triumphantly above.
I think Talmud, kind of peering around where the door's open, is going to just kind of turn and look back at Cantriel. This looks like it might pertain to you.
Fly.
He kind of like makes like dragon motions.
Fine, fair enough. She'll go in.
All right. Yeah, you can see this fountain taking up the entirety of the southern wall. You can actually see that along the front of the basin of the fountain, which has a thin scum of liquid coating the surface, you see that there is an inscription written in Draconic. The inscription reads, "Shatter the bonds of time until a Chardalon returns."
I don't think we're going to be doing what it says to do. We don't need to shatter bonds or anything like that.
What? Talmud's just going to ask, confused, from the door.
There's an inscription. It says something along the lines of shatter the bonds of time, and something tells me to bring a Chardalon along.
Oh. No, I think that's probably wise to not do that.
Did only Cantriel actually go into this room? Is anybody else in there? Or are you all standing in the other room, kind of looking in there?
No, John will move in.
Yeah, I imagine we'd probably move.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, there's plenty of room in there. So, Thorgarn, you can read the inscription as well, with your ability to read Draconic.
He's, a little leery because the last time he read something, everybody got caught on fire.
Oh, hey, I can read that. No, don't read it. Don't read it.
Don't.
So he's probably he caught a couple of words and he's like, "Oh, what's that over there?"
Nope.
So, Cantriel, as you said the first line of what you read, "Shatter the bonds of time," you notice a glimmer of something in the mouth of the dragon, and you see a single drip of liquid. Bloop. And it looks like a golden liquid, almost like honey, that drips out of this dragon's mouth as you say that first half of the phrase.
Well, that can't be good. Do I feel compelled to say anything further?
No, your agency is your own, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not compelled in any way.
Well, this is where it would be helpful to have Fig. The fountain's dripping. She'll shout to the other room.
They're all in the room with you. They kind of came in. It's like that moment where Mikey's talking to One-Eyed Pete, and then you realize everybody's in there with you.
Oh, it's look, and she'll point to the drip.
You said it was gold, but like honey.
Yeah, it's like a golden honey. It's a liquid, translucent, and it stands out. There's this drop of it in this otherwise scummy, dirty, dried out fountain. Just in the actual fountain, it just bloop. Probably about the size of a gold piece now, just sitting there.
Is there any odor to it?
You'd have to actually inspect it to know. It's one drop.
Sniff the drip.
Sniffing flames in a dungeon. This will go well.
That's the rejected slogan for Metadec coffee. Sniff the drip. No, I don't think that works.
It's the that's the slogan to go along with Splorch.
Splorch, sniff the drip.
Splorch's battle cry.
I don't understand why my design got rejected by Teespring.
Oh my
Anyway,
God.
there are no other exits in this room that you can see. There's the fountain that reacted to you reading the first half of the inscription.
Okay. It started with the first part. I don't think saying the second part would be wise, unless we want more of whatever that is.
Know what the liquid is?
I certainly didn't try to find out quite yet because this place isn't exactly friendly.
Once again, there's a sigh from Talmud, and he steps forward and he's going to reach his gloved hand kind of in and smear the liquid
Oh.
onto the end of his finger.
It has a consistency very similar to honey, and as you bring it up to your nose, you smell. It has a scent very similar to honeyed mead, mead made from wildflowers.
His eyes are going to go kind of wide as he kind of looks over his shoulder at Thorgarn, and then without missing a beat,
Go.
he touches his finger to his tongue.
As you take a taste of this liquid, Talmud, Thorgarn, you look over at Talmud, who just kind of give you this conspiratorial look, and you realize he's got this liquid on his fingers. He just kind of goes, and he seems to be savoring it. And a good 10 seconds passes, and you realize Talmud's not moving
Oh, Jesus.
at all.
Like, can I shake him?
As you touch him, you don't even feel a give to his flesh. He seems to be completely locked in this position.
Now the question is, how long can Jeremy stay still like that?
I definitely know what screenshot I'm grabbing for next week's promo. It'll be that one. By this time, Drown and Cantriel and the rest of you are noticing that Talmud is holding very still, including his tongue.
And, Thorgarn poked him or whatever.
Yeah.
What about, does he have like a cloth, a cloak, cloth, anything soft fabric?
Talmud actually wears a cape of the Monteblanc.
Oh, that's
Monteblanc.
right. Cape of the Mountebank. All right. Drown will sort of use the butt end of his staff and kind of poke at the hem of the cloak or the cape. Does it move, or is it sort of locked in place as well?
It is locked in place.
All right.
Can we move him?
He seems to be frozen in time.
Oh, grand.
Like, is the body able to be physically moved, or is it like...
Are you going to try to move him?
Yeah.
If you push hard enough, you are able to slide Talmud across the floor. You hear his boots scraping as he moves across the floor.
Let's get him out of here into the previous room.
Jeremy, take a point of inspiration just for this hold. This is like anti-charades.
That was well
It was.
sustained.
I was gonna give it to you anyway, but it was the subtle slide out of frame as Thorgarn pushed you that got me. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Man.
Yeah, so I'll help Thorgarn sort of carefully push, slide, haul him into the previous room.
Oh, so you guys remove Talmud from the room. Talmud is not budging. Nothing on Talmud is budging. He's not breathing. He's not blinking. There's nothing there.
Drowned.
Oh.
Do that anti-magic thing before.
If it's a spell, I can attempt to break it. Similarly,
So
if
can
it's
I.
a curse, but they might be different. Which do you think we should try? Does this appear to? Does this match any spell that I have heard of, encountered? Can I make an Arcana check to see if it is a spell of some sort?
I will allow you to make an Arcana check, yes.
I'm not super good at it, but we'll take a stab and see what happens. I rolled an 18, so that gives me a 19 total.
You don't recognize... This seems to be outside of your milieu of spell casting, but this definitely appears to be a magical effect. Just the circumstantial evidence that you have at hand would lead you to believe that whatever it was acted as some sort of a potion that put a magical effect upon Talmud.
Well, tell you what, I'll give it a try since it was my fault. I pointed it out to him. And she'll do Dispel Magic, 5th level.
All right, when you cast a spell at 4th level or higher, you automatically end the effects on the spell of the target is equal to or less than the level of the spell slot you used. So, you are going to have to make a roll.
Okay.
Using your spellcasting ability.
Okay. 15.
You channel your energy, reaching out through the weave of magic, trying to pull at the threads of this magical effect to pull it apart. And through the arcane energies, you encounter that the weave that surrounds Talmud is intricately woven and very tightly woven and is beyond your current attempt to dispel.
I will try. So yeah, Drown will reach out and cast Dispel Magic as well. So I'll make...
And you're automatically casting at what level?
It's 5th.
Okay. Yeah, same thing.
Yep. I'm gonna burn a domain die. No good.
Gerithan will
Inspiration.
he's gonna try and using his Githzerai psionics is going to try and reach out to Talmud's mind. I'm going to use my Detect Thoughts racial spell and see if I can, find out, is he still there? Is he thinking? Or, is his entire being frozen?
So, with your Detect Thoughts, you reach out to Talmud, and again, being a bit anachronistic to get this sort of what you sense to drive this home. When somebody's internet glitches and they're saying a word and their voice goes robot and you hear that sort of drawn out syllable, what you hear when you connect to Talmud's mind is and that's all you get is a steady tone of like somebody was about to go but you get just that one note. It's just completely locked into that beginning thought in his mind.
I will explain that to the group. It seems as though he has entirely been frozen.
I can try again. Cantriel, would you offer me some of your assistance?
Well, you certainly have some strength to your power, so yeah, absolutely, go for it. And she'll pat him on the shoulder. Well, actually, hold on.
Sure.
More like lower back.
I just picture that sort of almost reluctant, like, here you go. You can do it.
It's like we have a tall and almost small. Yeah. So that's inspiration for you.
All right, I will burn another pack magic slot and attempt to dispel whatever this is. All right. Now I roll well. Lovely. But I'll hang on to that inspiration. So that's a dirty 20.
You reach out again with more determination, and you feel the magical energy that Cantriel applied this inspiration to you with seems to sort of guide your arcane touch as you navigate through the weave, and you're trying to just, using this analogy of the weave, you're trying to find a loose thread, and it's like you're picking at it like a child picking at an edge of the carpeting, and you just keep picking and keep picking, and as you feel the edges of the spell that you're casting beginning to fade away, you get it. You catch it. You catch that one thread, and when you pull at it, the whole weave breaks apart. And Talmud, you immediately continue with your action, thought, and word in what you were doing as you were tasting this. But now...
you should try this.
Now you're looking at Drown, who's staring intently at you.
Oh.
And you're seeing like the last fading bits of those ghostly watery tentacles sort of snapping away from you with little shimmering threads that are breaking and sparking off into nothing.
You also notice that you're not even in the same room.
Back in
Anywhere
the
near the fountain.
Things are a little different.
How do you feel?
Fine.
Stop eating that.
Don't lick your finger again, dwarf.
It was delicious, but why? Did someone come out again, or?
No, more like you didn't do anything. You just froze.
You were frozen in time. It took a great deal of effort to free you.
It's been 8 years, Talmud.
His eyes kind of go wide.
I don't say it.
Drown like immediately snorts a laugh.
Do you know how long we've been carrying you around?
I kind of feel like that's a good place to stop for this week. With Gerithan saying it's been 8 years, Talmud, and Talmud's like, what? And Drown, for probably the first time in ever, just laughs. And that's a good lighthearted way to end this week. As it's 20 after 11, we're getting close, and I didn't want to step into more room exploration, but very well handled. Burning a couple of warlock slots to get that high level detect or dispel magic from a seemingly simple taste of strange dungeon elixir. I'm gonna do
making weird stuff you find in dungeons.
1, 2, 3, 4.
See, I'm on the other side. I'm debating trying to capture some in a potion bottle.
For those keeping track, that was 7 rooms that you discovered this week. For the first half, the room count was 0, but you pressed on and found quite a few things, yeah, I got to use mimics again. It had that little extra oomph because I had planned on the mimics being there even before Cantriel knew that suddenly she wanted to check sarcophagi more closely, because I had no idea that conversation was going to take place tonight. But Cantriel learned some very interesting things about her father and her lineage, and I like to think the Dawnbringers have grown that much closer together. But that was a fun session. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and hopefully next week Scotty will be able to join us once again. But I would just want to say a shout out to chat. Thank you so much for everybody who was hanging out with us tonight. We picked up quite a few new viewers. And I'm just going to call out Nuka DeLuca real quick, who's been here for a while tonight. Nuka is one of my players this Sunday in the game that I'm going to be running on I think it's 4:30 to 7:30 time slot. So that's why I recognized that name as they came in here. So yeah, I'll be running a game on Sunday, but we'll actually be starting at 1. This is part of the Jasper's Game Day Online that's going on. Be sure to check out Thread Raiders. I'm going to tell you anyway, even if you are not watching any of the Jasper's games or can't stick around for very much, go over to Thread Raiders and give them a follow. That is an awesome channel that we met this spring with Jasper's Game Day, and I love everybody over there. They're absolutely amazing people, and you should definitely follow them. I'm just trying to refresh without blowing the stream out. In fact, I think in just a few moments here, when we sign off, I'm going to trigger a raid over to Thread Raiders. Send you all over. We got like almost 30 people here. Head over there, catch the tail end of, or the in progress game that's going on. I'm assuming is Jasper's online con. If it's not, you're still going to land in an awesome community. But yeah, thank you to everybody. The new followers, quite a few new resubscriptions tonight. Some bits, cheers, all that stuff is wonderfully appreciated. Be sure to check out the Teespring store, where we have a lot of great MTD merch, such as t-shirts. We've got stickers, sweatshirts. We've got the new Splorch merchandise, Splorch the Jelly Cube, in there. And you guys just got got yourselves another domain die, as D&D Jordan from Thread Raiders just gifted a subscription to, looks like to you, Zach. So I'll give you that domain die before we head out of here. And yeah, just please, when you head over there, if you've got MTD emotes or you unlock some emotes tonight, hit them up with the splorches, hit them up with the MTD castles. And stick around and see what's going on, because it's for a wonderful cause. Check them out this weekend. Be sure to tune in to MTD tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Join the Fang Club. That's right, I said Fang Club. That is Alan's Curse of Strahd game that runs every Friday night right here on MTD. And they got some pretty cool stuff going on with that. And we'll see you back here on Sunday for the Jasper's Game Day stuff. And of course, as always, I want to say a thank you to Dan, V, Zach, Ted, and Jeremy, without whom it would just be me talking to myself for 3 hours. And before we get out of here and end the stream like we do every week, just stick around in the chat. I'm going to trigger that raid off as soon as we go to the end of stream screen here in a moment. And that is where we are going to end the stream the same way we end every stream. And you can say it with me if you want.
Made it.